Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Life Talks. It's another beautiful day, and I'm delighted to be back here. I I wish I could afford a little bit more consistency because, frankly, it's been a while since I put up a video, and it's not something I'm proud of, but it's something I really have to work on. This particular episode for today was necessitated because of a video I came across online a few weeks back. And in this video there was um, a scenario where a young woman was on a date with a young man, and while they were at that particular well, it was probably a hangout place or a restaurant or something, and some other people were making a video of what was actually going on. It turns out that this other guy in a kaftan walks up to these two people, and he's having this conversation with the girl that we can't hear, but we know that they're in some form of argument or the other. And the next thing, this guy starts picking up things that her belongings, literally, like, he takes her phone, takes, her hair. And I'm wondering what the hell is going on here. He takes the shoes. So bottom line, this guy just works out. First of all, he confronted her like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" and all of that. It's more like he expects her not to hang out with any other person because he's probably responsible for her well-being, and he got her a phone, got her hair, and all of that. And it was one of the most embarrassing things I'd ever seen. Why on earth would anybody do a thing like that? But one interesting thing came to mind. It struck me that there was only a basis for that young man to be able to do something like that if he didn't feel entitled. If she wasn't in that position where she probably just makes demands and she's not necessarily bringing anything else to the table. For crying out loud, why would someone even do that? I don't. For me, I look at it. Even if she really was at fault, I don't see why anybody who is a right thinking person should go to that extent, in public, for crying out loud. But let's leave all of that. We can't control how people think and act, but we can control what we put out there. We can control the level of access that people have to us, to be able to create that kind of drama. So I personally began to look at this carefully, and it dawned on me that there was a particular disposition she should have maintained, or she could have maintained, in that relationship that would make it practically impossible for that kind of stunt to be pulled off. And I'll explain what I mean. Um, it's common expectation, especially in our cultural environment. There's this understanding that, okay, yes, the ladies should look up to the guys to for their well-being, to help take care of certain needs in their lives. But the real question is this how it is supposed to be? Because the truth is that is the only platform that creates all this type of drama like we just witnessed. And someone will ask that question: could it have been avoided? Can such dramas be avoided? And that brings me to the topic for today, basically. Now, when it comes to giving and receiving, there are basically two positions or two types of relationships that a woman can have with a man. There's a position where a woman receives gifts from a man. That is very expected. That should be encouraged. In fact, it should be something that is both ways. Yeah, both ways. People should learn to give gifts, and receive gifts. But then there's the other side of the relationship that is more or less like a life support. And what do I mean by that? It means that one partner is totally dependent on someone else for their life support, for their existence. So from down to their house rent, their food, to pay their bills, to take care of their clothing, basically accessories, everything they need for life. They are dependent on another person for it. Now, Why is this second position a problem? Because this is actually what created the drama we saw, in the video. And someone will ask, why is this a problem? Yes, it's a problem because the human nature is designed, to feel entitled when they know that you are dependent on them. For a woman to have her honor in place at stake, she needs to come to that point in her life where she does not necessarily, depend on a particular person, especially a male, for her survival. And this is extremely crucial. We've talked about women empowerment, we've talked about women rising up to the occasion and taking their place in this world. And we underestimate how important or how significant this can be. Well, you find that if a woman is in a place or in a position where she can meet her basic needs, she does not necessarily have to be in the disadvantage every time a relationship situation is discussed. She does not have to be the person who is heartbroken, who is humiliated, who has to go through certain experiences just to be able to be alive in this world. So there's a lot here, and once female folks begin to understand why this is important, why they need to re-strategize their relationships with the males, we're going to go a long way in solving a lot of problems. And when I say a lot of problems, I'm talking about from the family level down to the national level. We want to be able to, as women, find ourselves in a position where we do not owe any man anything, where basically we are okay by ourselves. We exist for ourselves, by ourselves, without necessarily needing help from anyone. What should a woman do in situations like this? What is the way to go? How can our sisters find their sense of worth and well-being even in a relationship? It boils down to how we perceive relationships. I think first of all we have to establish a paradigm shift, not just for the females but for the males too. We have to come to that point where women begin to see the truth that they are not designed to be dependent. That's not the real plan. They're not designed to be dependent. A woman should be able to find a level of dependence, especially as her survival in life is concerned. And that will give her the opportunity to play the role that she's actually designed to play, in this world. So a woman is designed to be a help meet for a man. And we hope that most relationships, we hope that they do end in marriage, because this is the goal. This should be the goal. Unfortunately, it's not in many cases. But as a matter of fact, we know that this should be the goal. And when we have that mindset, you find that it's easier for you not to want to be on the receiving end all the time. When you begin to look deeper and see, okay, how can I add value, and how can I be a solution provider, not just at the receiving end of things? So that's a mindset that sisters need to imbibe. They need to come to that point where they can stand up tall and say, I don't need your money. I don't need it. And yes, I can receive gifts from you, but I can even choose to reject those gifts. And that's the beauty of it. If a woman finds independence, if she's able to live a sustainable life by herself, what it means is that she has a choice. So she can choose to receive or to reject gifts, for example. A male is trying to communicate with her through gifts, and she feels that the terms and conditions for these gifts is not something that she's okay with. It's not something that she wants to go into. She has every right to reject those gifts and still not have feel any way about it, or feel like she has lost something, or feel like, how am I going to survive, or how am I going to pay my rents, or how am I going to feed. We need to really come to that point. And with that said, what type of relationship, how should a woman, especially one who is in a place where she is not able to fend for herself, or where a woman is not yet at that place of independence, how should she relate with the male folks? And this is where the wisdom comes in. As a matter of fact, what she should be looking out for is how she can find a level of independence with that relationship. So you walk up to this man is interested in you, he likes you, and all of that. This is an opportunity for you to literally begin to seek how you can find sustenance for yourself instead of just being on the receiving end of things. So, for example, instead of just asking for money, you can ask for a job. So you don't have anything doing, you're not employed, you've graduated, ask for a job, ask for some level of support that can enable you create wealth, that can enable you generate value by yourself. This is extremely important. This is core. And it is going to change both the perception of you by the male, and it's also going to affect the type of relationship that you have with that male. It's going to do a lot for your self-esteem. It's going to do a lot for your respect. And yes, we have to face the fact that we live in a generation that is predominantly lazy. Unfortunately, a lot of us are lazy. A lot of us want the easy way out. A lot of us just want everything on the platter. But the truth is, when you check the consequences, when you check the downside of all of this, you find that at the end of the day, it's not worth it. Doing the right thing might just be your best call. So ask for a job instead. Ask for some sort of support. If you have a little business, find a way to get support to grow that business. You understand? Leverage on social capital, leverage on networking, meet his friends, try and connect with his circle of friends to get them to patronize you if you have something you sell, and just have that level of independence where people know that, okay, you are generating value. You're not necessarily dependent, on a particular person for your survival. This is extremely key. This will make it very difficult for anybody to play the kind of drama, that happened in the video. So even if the person actually gets you things, gets you gifts, gets you phone, gets you hair, the person will not be bold enough to come out and start trying to, embarrass you, by taking all of those things back in public. Because this person knows that you have some worth for yourself, you have some value for yourself, you can probably even afford those things. And that's another thing I tell people. I said it's very important that you don't just take things or ask for things. I think it has more to do with those that ask for it. Don't ask for something, especially something you can afford. It's a negative vibe. Trust me. You might not see it that way. You might think, this is just cruise. You might just feel like, oh, I'm living my best life. But when the tables turn, you found that it would have been better, not going down that path. Leverage on the opportunities you have, leverage on your networks, leverage on these guys that are showing so much interest in you, all these guys that are crazy about you. Find a way to leverage on their network. Find a way to leverage on opportunities, for jobs, opportunities for patronage. Find something doing. Find a way to add value. You understand? Beyond, just your legs. You want as much as possible to be able to offer value, real value. You understand? That people can connect with, that people can, appreciate and pay you for. So these things are extremely important. And that's basically what my message is today. So I want to encourage you out there. Remember to leave your comments below and let me know what you think. If you have similar stories or experiences that you've had in the past, please feel free to share. And if it's your first time watching this video, remember to like and subscribe. I will really appreciate that. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much for joining in and have a wonderful day.